build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty, joined tonight by Colin. Colin, how's it going?
Aye, good mate, not bad. I've only seen 10 minutes of the football, so it's not impacted me as much as it's impacted others.
I think I aged, I had my birthday last week, but I actually feel like I aged more than a year just watching that one game of football. In fact, if you take Tuesday's game into consideration as well, I feel like I'm no far off getting a pension.
Look at
it is grim, man. Absolutely grim.
I know. Kind of mental thing about it is though, right? And I'll be a bit of a name drop here. But when we were speaking to Graham Spears earlier in the week or whenever it was, he says at the match to do the match report.
Yeah.
Was it on Twitter? Maybe it was just on Twitter rather than on the WhatsApp or that bit. And I said, "Oh, we'll write your match report for you."
Aye, just copy and paste
in the name of the Kilmarnock Explorer. That was what I said.
Yeah.
And it's fucking true, eh? It's just like, it's one of the away games that you go away from home, didn't really, and I'm speaking here up front, I've seen the highlights on Sports Scene, that's it. I had a busy day, had a busy weekend actually. So it's just a cut and paste for St Mirren, for Livingston almost, was similar. Dundee United, like that's this season.
Yeah.
And then, but various others over previous seasons. It's the same shite. Didn't take chances, lose a goal, didn't look like come back for it.
Do something stupid, eh? Something, and it's shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, there's a few things that we'll talk about, I'm sure, over the course of the podcast. VAR decisions, either when it's used and when it's not used, because there's a few contentious things there.
Yeah.
The defence, Lee Johnson, recruitment, probably want to touch on that as well, because that's getting a lot of noise. I mean, it's just my biggest concern with all, Colin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said this pre-match when I saw the lineup. I actually think I said it before the game on Tuesday night as well. I think Lee Johnson kens what he's doing now with the team. Like, as in, who do I trust to get a performance out of? But even what system do I trust?
Yeah.
We talked about it. Can when you go back to when we won the 4 in a row and we were talking about, do you keep the winning team? And you say, aye. Yeah. And then we go to Celtic, get an absolute doing.
Remember the mental reasons for changing that team, though, eh? They didn't get the language. You look at it.
Right enough. Well, that's why I changed it for the language barrier. But it's like, as soon as that happened, he went, I think I'm done now with the team. And every week, game to game, seems to be a total fucking lottery about what formation we're going in, even changing it through the game. And again, you want a manager that can react to things that are happening. Yeah. But if you're a player, and this is like, I'll use Postecoglou at Celtic as an example, got criticised early for no changing how he set up when he went into the Champions League. And his answer to it was basically, but how do I have credibility with my players if I tell them this is what we do and who we are, and then because we're playing a good team, we change it? Not a good team, right? Because he wouldn't have said that because he's a bit more respectful of the rest of the league. But he's pretty much saying that that's the way I want the team to play, and that's how we'll try and play no matter who we're playing against. He's got that belief in his system, and the players, you can see, buy into it. And they didn't have a great Champions League, but they weren't embarrassed really that much, apart from like when they played Real Madrid. It's fucking Real Madrid who are going to embarrass Scottish teams, you would think.
Even that, they had a crack at them in the first half of the first game.
That's it. Yeah. And they had a go, and I think if you were watching it, if that was Hibs having a go at Real Madrid, you'd take a bit of a doing, knowing that you'd had a go at them.
Yeah.
Lee Johnson's done that. He's done the same thing up to the Celtic game. He's gone in and went, we're going to play our way. And which I think is fine. We got hammered, really hammered, and then he's just got. I don't care what his way of playing is anymore, and I don't think he can, and I don't think the players can.
It's something I was going to talk about actually, because Mikey Stewart has been going on about Hibs' identity and all that, and I think he said it again this week actually.
He did.
about the lack of identity and whatnot. So do you agree with him now, or do you think they had some identity
I think we had it.
and we've lost it again?
I think we had it because I disagreed with him at the time. And I was like, "You're not paying attention." At that point in the season, if you'd been paying attention to Hibs and watching them closely, I think you could see how we wanted to play. We got the ball down. We went forward quickly. We got the ball out wide. We got crossed into the box. We were still no clinical, but we created. I mean, you look. We talked about it. There was 3 games in a row where we had 25 shots on goal.
Yeah, yeah.
You could see how we wanted to play. Post Celtic, I don't care how we want to play. Like
But having said that, though, 25 shots on goal, right? That's not saying how many were on target, and I don't know if it was high number or not, because we're still getting quite a lot of shots on goal, but we never really look like scoring, which is kind of a bit of a contradiction, but it's true. We get fucking loads of crosses, and then you get these shots that folk are actually going, did we have that many shots on goal?
Aye. And I think that's
because they're like these shitey headers or like whatever. They're non-events.
Aye.
So the stats maybe are hiding the fact that the quality's pish.
Aye, but I would have said
quality of chance.
Earlier in the season, the quality chances were decent to good.
Yeah.
Quality chances in the last 5-6 games have been decent to poor. And they're no, like the Aberdeen game's a good example of it, where we dominated possession. I think we had more shots than them. But like you say, their keeper, how many really good saves did their keeper have to make? Hardly any. I think he made one off Henderson's header. Was that game?
Aye.
I can't even remember. The games are sort of rolling into one. But on the stats, you looked at it if you could have said if that'd gone 4-1 to Hibs, the stats would have said that was a fair result. 4-1 to Aberdeen was a fair result because their defending was shite. But I wouldn't say, like, you looked at the stats now. I mean, Ross County, they can't how many chances we had against Ross County, but their keeper, I think it said had 3 saves to make in the game. I remember one, like a shot for distance that he sort of punched out.
Aye, that's the thing. It's because that's the saves he's making on it. It's not like you're going, how come we're up against a fucking brilliant goalie?
Yeah.
Every time there's a man of the match performance down here, it's no way. It's just no happening. It's pish. But
it was the same on Saturday. And I reckon what he's... If we're going about
recruitment... Sorry, you've got to touch recruitment, which is where I was going with. Because Mikey Stewart made the point is that, because somebody had says, well, once it was Stevie Thompson, I think, said, when they get their players back for injury, and you're talking Boyle, Nisbet, and McGuinness, right? So they're like, probably are like, I don't know, FIFA rate them, and McGeady, but you go into Championship Manager or whatever, they'll be like probably your 3 highest rated, right? Kicking ass off it. Internationals or under 21 internationals, all that highly rated, they'll be in our squad along with Poacher, an easy top 5 of the 3, right? And we're missing them. But Mikey Stewart kind of dismissed that, right? Not wrongly, in my opinion, but he did say they've got too big a squad. They've got too big a squad, and there's too many players that are not. I can't remember the words he used, but he was effectively not impacting the games. They've got too many players, and there's too many of them that are there that aren't doing anything.
Aye,
and I think he's right.
Yeah. So I can't remember where we spoke about it. Well, it was maybe on Spaces or whatever. We could have used the term leadership, right? I'm not sure if this comes under the leadership thing, but we have players in the team where games just pass them by. And when you've got, so if you've got Boyle playing, and maybe one of the others, so whether it's Boyle, McGuinness or Boyle, it's hard to say about McGeady because only really looking at the pre-season was. But players at that level, if you've got them on your game, you can get away with a few players who are just contributing.
Aye.
So they're there and they're contributing without necessarily dominating the game. Because Boyle will dominate the game, or Ken Nisbet will get a goal, or whoever it is. Joe Newell, when he's on his game, impacts the game. Porteous impacts the game when he's playing well. If you have like the team that lined up on Saturday, I mean, who you picking for that to impact the game? Try to remember who or started the game. But 6 out of 10. were defensive-minded players.
That's what
The
I was going to ask you.
outfield players, 6 out of 10, were defensive.
Because I texted you, I was obviously elsewhere on Saturday, and it came through. And I texted you and Charlie and that, and I said, what do you think of that team? Because my thoughts were, it's all fucking defenders. And my initial thing was like, this is Lennon going to Tynecastle sort of effort. Or actually, done it once when he come
Lennon
on.
Rugby Park, he did, aye.
And he just lined up like 6 centre-halves or something in the team, and they were all playing out of position in that. It was mad, and I seen it, I thought, Shabraya and Stevenson. You know, and that was kind of the one. But other than that, you're looking at it going, fucking hell, like, just leaving the boy up front in his Todd and hoping he's got to do something. I just thought it was a mental team selection, but then I didn't see how it panned out. I seen the result, but I didn't see the performance. So I was going to say, were we wrong to be cynical of the team selection before the game?
No, I don't think. I think you saw by how little we created, especially first half, and we scored a goal, which I think should have counted. I think it should have stood. And I know folk will say, offside's a matter of fact, isn't it? It's either off or it's on.
Maths.
When you look at the still with the lines on it, unless Melkerson's knees fucking several inches long, his knee stops in the same line as the defender's line.
I know. I've seen this still.
And the rule, or the application of the rule for VAR or offside, somebody shared it with us. I think it might have been Charlie Mulgrew thinks he made it up. Shared it with us and just said, you can read it out if you go to there.
I did have it. It's fucking flashed away. 2 seconds. I'll get it back. It was Gaz, the Gaz man.
Gaz.
Are we using, in the case of a close offside call, the assistant referee will delay his or her flag if a goal scored. Using the virtual offside technology, the VAR will place a line on the second last defender and the attacking player who potentially committed the offside. If the lines do not overlap or touch and show the player was offside, the on-field decision to disallow the goal will stand. If the lines do not overlap or touch, showing the attacker was either behind or in line, and show that the player was onside, or if the two lines do overlap, the on-field decision will be overturned and the goal will stand. So what we're saying is I don't know if the line's been flagged actually in the first place.
Linesman does flag.
So he says it's offside.
Yep.
So it's this then, but then we're saying the lines don't overlap. They're the blue line's onside and red's offside. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Melkerson's knee is in line with the blue line.
Yeah.
So that says then
So I thought the lines were touched. If the lines do not overlap or touch and show the player was offside, the on-field decision to disallow the goal will stand. But the lines do touch. But you look at it, the lines are on each other. So,
that's what it's saying though. If the lines do not overlap or touch, it's not saying do not touch.
Yeah, and show the player was offside, the on-field decision to disallow the goal will stand. If the lines do not overlap or touch, showing the attacker was either behind or in line with the defender, what the fuck does that mean then? If it touches, are we saying it's fine or no?
Well, that means the same thing. Both the parts of that rule. So it doesn't make sense. So if they're just looking at that and going, they wouldn't know the rule, because the rule's saying the same thing for two different scenarios there, according to what I've just read.
Well, no, one says if they don't overlap or touch and show the player was offside, is the first one. And then the second one is if the lines do not overlap or touch, showing the attacker was either behind or in line with the defender.
Right.
So what's the difference? Like one saying,
that's what I mean. It feels the same thing to me.
The touching bit then. So if the lines touch, they can still be offside or onside according to that.
Aye, and that's why. So then, did you think they went? You know, so I'm wondering if they've went. It's not clear and obvious. On-field decision stands.
But that's not what that says.
What are you saying? No, it doesn't say on-field decision. It's saying there that
it's saying if the overlap or touch and it shows the attacker was onside. So this would mean it would be touching, but with the attacker's line closest to our goal. And in this case, the attacker's line was closer to their goal, so they don't overlap or touch, showing he was offside. or they do that. They show that he was offside by overlapping or touching.
I don't know, mate. It's
But
confused me. I don't know.
but the line, you look at the picture. I think him with Melkerson's
No,
how his knees causing that red line and not the blue line,
I don't
which
know.
is where he
But
is.
I remember I had a scab on it or something, and it's just like taking him that little further
Maybe.
over. Scabbed it on the Astro. But no, I mean, it's like, I've seen Sports Scene's analysis, right? And they went down it's black and white.
Aye, as it is no.
So, and it is, I guess if they've taken the photo at the time when the ball was released, then it's black and white. Whether it's marginal or not,
Yeah.
it's meant to be, it's black and white, it's maths. And it does look like, oh, how the fuck do you know? But then from the how the fuck do you know question, the rule used to be give the attacker the doubt, the benefit of the doubt. However, I don't think that's in the rules anymore.
It's because there's no doubt now.
Yeah, and you've got the linesman calling it off as well.
Yeah.
So if the linesman had called it onside and then they looked at it, I wonder if they went.
Aye, they would overturn it on that.
Do you think they would have overturned that?
Aye, because they check it anyway. So they would have overturned it based on where they've drawn the lines.
Close. It's almost like they're in line, and there is no benefit of the doubt rule. So they went, what's the referee? What's the linesman saying?
It gets checked either way. So they would have drawn the lines.
I know it gets checked, but what I'm saying is it's that fucking close to that it's not clear and obvious. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
clear and obvious doesn't come in there for offside, where it's a matter of fact.
But is it a matter of fact? We're arguing it.
Aye, we're arguing because of where they've drawn the line.
Right. So is it no clear and obvious offside? Though? He's obviously offside.
No,
because it's a matter of fact. That's why we're arguing about it.
Because we think it's wrong.
But,
so the way it should work is that they take the line from Melkerson's furthest forward point
that he can score a goal with.
That he can score a goal with, right? Which they say that they've done, but when you actually look at where Melkerson's legs touch him, his knee, it's on the defender's line, which puts him onside. So it's like the thickness of the lines that they've drawn has influenced the decision. It's fucking nonsense, and that's where it's ridiculous. Like when you go, well, if they use thinner lines, they're probably all right.
I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look offside for that still. That's all I'll say. But it is black and white. It's maths, all that stuff. So,
aye. Anyway, so back to your question about how we looked first, and were we right to be concerned about the team? First half we were hopeless. I mean, genuinely. When you get games where you're getting angrier and angrier about what you're watching.
It's usually an away game, man.
Aye, usually an away game. Well, that was it. First half. I'm just watching this again. Same as against Ross County. See the basic stuff like completing a pass to somebody who's just in front of you, getting that wrong, overhitting balls, overhitting crosses. No defending. I mean, do you see the defending for the goal? I mean, you talk about for a team that's got 6 defenders on the fucking pitch. They come on across the ball in for the right. We get the first touch on it. The ball bounces into the box. Not a single Hibs player moves for it. Everybody's static. It's like somebody stopped the music.
I don't think they know what they're doing.
I think they came out of them.
Because I mean, we've already spoken about previous goals. And going, who's mark? Why is Joe Newell marking the centre forward? Why is Porteous not marking anybody? Why is who's his Rockies man? Who's Hanlon's man? It's not obvious what they're doing. Like to us watching it, now we're not ex-professionals or knowledgeable about football in any way, but like normally, like the centre half will pick up either. This centre halves will pick up one of the main threats, whether that be another centre half or a striker.
Well, there's
the boys working with centre halves wandering about aimlessly, and now they're not moving. It's like, what's going on?
First cross comes in, Colin. There's 9 Hibs players, not including the goalkeeper, not including Wright Marshall. 9 Hibs players in the box, which meant I think probably it was Melkerson was the one that was outside the box. 9 Hibs players. They didn't react to the ball breaking after the first cross. Second one comes in and spins away. Then that's where Chabraya decides, takes a terrible touch, takes it towards the goal line, and then gives away the penalty. I get a bit of debate about the penalty.
Soft as shite. My opinion on it. Never a penalty.
I think it's one of these ones that the referees, so I think the linesman flags for the foul. And then once the referee gives the foul, the question is whether it's not in the box. And it was in the box. Like I think that's, again, a matter of fact that it happened inside the box. She's got to give the penalty. But if we're saying that's a foul, there were other instances in that game, the same or worse.
Yeah. The Porteous one's one I saw in the highlights. I don't know what others there were.
Well, the thing is, it's because it's that innocuous. You see some of the challenges that were going in, that players were coming together and one would fall down and the referee would play on.
Did you see the one even in the Livingston Hearts game? The big man going through at the end, Obalai, I think his name is.
Aye.
At the end of the match. Hearts scored for it in the end. The boys went, he tried to keep his balance. He got harder than the Killie boy. Tried to keep his balance for some reason. Because everybody kens, unless you fall down, you're not getting the fucking foul. And they give it. And you go, well, that's worse. Like, I tell you what VR's done, like, and it's been said, so I'm not claiming it as an exclusive in any way, but it's showing how bad the referees are.
Correct.
Because not only are they making these mistakes on the pitch and now shiting out making decisions on the pitch because they've got the TV, the cunt with the telly can't even fucking get the decision. Well, he's watching all the replays.
That's the worst bit. The boy watching it on the TV getting it wrong. St Mirren should have had a penalty against Rangers. If you want like another one that's kind of like the one that happened with Hibs, Rangers player's about to clear the ball. St Mirren player gets his foot in front of him, and the Rangers player just boots him. Doesn't get looked at.
That was like, it didn't even get looked at.
No, because we've given away penalties there. I mean, Martin Boyle gave one away against Aberdeen one time, and
somebody got one this season. It was a Hearts Rangers game this season, Hearts Celtic game this season. With VAR, it was one of the first games with VAR. One of them picked somebody when the ball, like, it was. I can't remember who got the penalty, which team it was. Probably Hearts, because he got 2 penalties that day, didn't they?
It was Hearts.
And it was for that. It was for exactly that. So it just happens. It's a that is a free kick, but that one, honestly, that one on Chabraya, like, I couldn't believe it. I'm not even convinced it's in the fucking box.
Well, it isn't.
Never mind if it's a foul.
I'm sure it's in the box. Like, we're watching the replay, I was like quite happy to accept that. I can understand why it's given because of the contact thing, but that's. It goes back to what I was saying before. Football's a contact sport. No, every time you make contact with somebody, it's a foul. No, every time you have contact and somebody falls over, is it a foul?
It's mad because that's what Porteous has been criticised for, but it happens against us all the time.
Well, what's interesting is they decide that's not a foul or that is a foul. Boy stamps on Porteous in the first half, off the ball, runs into the box, just runs right beside him, stamps on him. Porteous goes down, doesn't get looked at. And Porteous goes off for treatment and everything. The referee doesn't take that as a cue to say in his ear, "I need to be having a look at that there."
But they should be telling him, the boy with the telly, they're meant to flag him.
Aye.
So why did they? I've not seen that. Up front, I've not seen it. Was Porteous' reaction OTT? Was he punching the ground and all that, or what was he doing?
No, it wasn't really smashing the ground. He went down, but the boys done him. Like, it's not like a vicious one. You know, Ken, when you lived in it playing rugby, no doubt, right? We was used to playing football where you would stand on somebody's toes for a corner and that, Ken. You would just make sure you just left like a wee bit on them now and again, just so they Ken you were there. That's sort of just a bit annoying. It was sort of like that, but harder. So he kind of just wandered in. Doesn't need to be near him.
Is that a red card?
Yeah, red card.
It's that bad, so he'd done it before and that.
Aye, like it's enough for if you'd seen it, because there's no reason for him to do it, it'd be a red card. If you're watching it, you go, well, you see some of the stuff that folk get sent off for, that would be a red card, in my opinion. Didn't even look at it. Porteous gets, he's running out the box to get the ball in the second half. Boy clips his heels. Exactly the same as what happened with Chabraya.
That's a penalty as well, if we're playing the rules. Or actually, it's more. There's more contact, I think, in that one.
So who's deciding when it's a foul and when it's no? Well, the referee is, or VAR is. Why are they going, we'll have that one as a penalty. That one's no, but we're not even going to fucking look at it. That said, that's not why Hibs lost. And I want to make sure, like, Ken folks say that, oh, you can't moan about the referee. It's no the referee's fault we got beat. I think it was the referee's fault we got beat. I think it was Lee Johnston's fault we got beat, and it was the players on the park's fault that we got beat. They're we're dreadful, and we look like a dreadful team now, Colin.
Who did anybody impress you?
Stevenson, decent in midfield. Ken folk will moan. You can't say Stevenson had a good game. There's loads of folks say it. Although a lot of folk criticise him. Again, the question is, why is Lewis Stevenson in 2022 first pick in our midfield? In our fucking midfield, not even at left back, in our midfield. Stevenson was decent. McCurdy, when he came on, was good.
Aye, so I thought that for the highlights, actually. He looked lively. Was Stevenson playing in left midfield or centre midfield?
Left midfield, I think. It was quite hard to tell. The formation was a wee bit... It was quite hard to tell where everybody was meant to be. It didn't look like the players kept where they all knew where they were meant to be in the game.
Aye, it was... what disappointed me was it was just so predictable. It was just so predictable. Shitest team in the league. They're not bottom anymore because
they beat us. Who did they overtake? All right, Dundee United go back bottom. Dundee United have beat us. Ross County have beat us.
Yeah.
And Kilmarnock and St Johnstone. Like, it's grim. Like, really, and you can't be like, I'll try to defend the team most of the time. Like, my sort of default position is to try and sort of find the mitigation or the reasons why things might have gone wrong.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I'm struggling because there's a better team available than the one that he picked.
Yeah.
With more creativity, with more positive intent. You look at, so I was on Graham Spears' podcast. He did a preview one on Friday. It was me and a guy for the Herald that were just doing, and Spears was asking, like, is this a must-win for the manager, and how's it ended up a massive game? And what were our predictions? I was sort of joking. I said I was joking. Predict 2-0 to Hibs, but I said what it's likely to be is the turgid 0-0 because no team's going to want to lose it. Hibs looked like we set up like we didn't want to lose the game. And it's criminal. You're playing the bottom team in the league. That's criminal. Absolutely criminal. And I just think Lee Johnson is lucky he's got the break, I think, now. Because had we had a game coming up on Wednesday night or even next Saturday, he'd be saying, what does he do next? Because he can't pick that team again. Because for the start, everybody could see. I didn't speak to one person or read one person's thoughts saying, I think that's a good team we've put today. Not one. You can't go with that, but you can't always change. Like sooner or later, you have to say, Kim, this is what I'm wanting you to do. This is my best 11, or as close to it as I can get with the players that I've got available. We're going to get a chance, and you might not get it right game 1. Game 2, I'd expect you to be better than game 1. Game 3, I'd expect you to be near as damn it delivering what I'm expecting you to deliver. And game 4 and beyond, you just keep improving. Like we did at the start of the season, where we had a decent system, and we improved and and the results came, and then he changed it, and he's just kept changing it since.
Aye, he's kind of lost he's lost all flow, because we were talking on Spaces and that at times about that's 10 to 12 games. You said 10 to 12 games, that's 11 or 12. Look at the difference. It's good. And it has been. There's been games this season at home where it's been actually enjoyable to watch. Like even Motherwell only beat them 1-0. But St Mirren was definitely a good day.
Killie at home.
Killie at home. There was only 1-0 again, but because we're not taking our chances and we didn't get on the end of crosses. We put crosses in, but we didn't get on the end of them. All that kind of stuff. But so and we want to see the positives, don't we? We're trying to see like it's getting better, and we were enjoying it, but it's just, I don't know, like, what do you put it down to? Do you put it down to the manager's chopping and changing because he's maybe lost a bit of trust, right? Is it because he's got too big a squad? Is it because he's chopping and changing? Why is he chopping and changing? Is it the players? Is it a mentality? Is it a lack of leadership? What do you think it is that causes this?
It's probably a bit of everything, Colin. I think so. On the squad size, I think that's an issue, but I don't think it's the biggest issue, because now you look at the players who are available for selection. But if you take out the injuries, our squad size is probably about right. When you put the injured players back in, then it starts to look a bit bloated. I genuinely think that, and we talked about it at the time, you said it, there's no such thing as a free hit, because if you get hammered, with the Celtic game, if you get hammered, you look at the impact that it has. And you were spot on, like really, really spot on, because you look at it now, we likened it to Fenland with Malmo when they got to 7-0, and he never trusted his team after that. Hibs were a shadow of the team that they were the season before, even after that game, and Fenland ultimately lost his job. Jack Ross had it at Dundee United, where he got a scud in, and then another scud in, and then another one, and that was him. He just didn't care how to. But the day after a result like that, we've got, I think, because of the players that are injured, I think the mix of youth and experience in the team is wrong now. Although in saying that, our back four or back five on Saturday, Marshall in goals, Cadden, experienced, Porteous, experienced, Hanlon, experienced, and Chabraya, experienced. No problem with the experience there. Midfield, Kenner, 19, Joe Newell, experienced, Stevenson, experienced, and Josh Campbell, no quite experienced. I wouldn't say he's like sort of in between.
He's not young either, eh?
That, and then our front two, inexperienced, both of them young lads, Melkerson and Kukovic. So you've got this thing that I think Hibs have cast the net wide, and we spoke about this with recruitment, brought in the likes of Tavares, Bojan, who's injured, McCurdy. You could argue. I think McCurdy's a bit older though. Yeah, Yuan's 23, I think, but again, 23 doesn't speak the language. He's come over getting used to the league. I think Hibs probably expected these players to hit the ground running quicker than they did, and to adapt to the Scottish game quicker than they did. And I think that's why you're not seeing Tavares and the team. Folk are very quick to write him off. We've seen folk having the bin. I think Johnson said after it, we need to move 5 or 6 out.
Yeah, so I'm guessing who it is.
And they're going, Tavares, fucking Tavares, just come in. You know, he was like our big signing. It was a real coup to get him. Johnson been tracking him for years, he says.
I've had other managers phoning me saying, how did you get him to come to Hibs?
How did you get him to come to Hibs? Right. So we're not moving him on. He's on a big deal. Henderson's another player I was thinking, again, who's no young, but he's no experienced either. So he's sort of in that between like Campbell. No played a lot of first team football.
And a lot of folk took a lot of word off the Celtic fans on that one, who told us how good he was. Because I remember challenging it, and it'll be recorded somewhere, saying he's played, Lucas played 20 games in his career. The 21st team games. He went on loan twice and hardly played for Dunfermline, maybe?
Yeah, sure it was Dunfermline, it was that, yeah.
I can't remember if I'm right or wrong there, but he's been on loan twice anyway, I think, and he hardly played any games. He played like less than 5 first-team games for Celtic. But Celtic fans are telling you he's like fucking the Great White Hope, and you're like, like based on the 5 games you've seen.
Yeah, and it's not to say he might not be a good player for us. We signed him for over a few years. He might turn out to be Tavares, might turn out to be Ewan, might turn out to be. But the problem that Johnson's got now is he's gone, fuck, they're not quite ready for it for the team. So he's not playing them, and then you go, well, what's the point in having them in the fucking team? You're either going to have to give them the game time to get them there, or you've got to have better ready to play. You can't go to Rugby Park and say, I'm going to keep Ewan and Tavares on the bench and McCurdy on the bench and play 6 fucking defenders. Like it's just insane. Like just that. But I think it's to answer the question about what comes in. I think the biggest thing for me is that Johnson doesn't trust these players, and he doesn't trust his system to deliver. And that's just causing all sorts of issues. Because if you're a player, imagine you do your training for the week. What we're doing this week, right? We're working on this, and then you get beat, and it's ripped up. We go, fucking, that didn't work. Back to the drawing board. This week we're going to do it like this. Are we? Right? And you get a few days like that, and then you go in, and because it's new to you and you're not used to it, you go, well, we're shite again. But we're actually worse than we were on Tuesday night. So they rip it up and they start again, and eventually you're going, she came out your den. That's what I would be like. At that point, you'd be going, just settle down on something and let us figure it out.
Aye. No, I can see that. It's a real fucking mess, isn't it?
It's a big mess.
The whole thing. I didn't totally agree with all the shouts about. Like, it can't be. Like, it's not the manager. Is it the manager? Could be the manager picking the team wrong. But we need to do a clear out and all that again. Kind of all these shouts that and you think, we do a clear out almost every fucking window, right? And
Aye.
like this, and it's like it's the players letting down the manager again and that, and you think, it's a different set of players letting the manager down again. So what the fuck is wrong altogether then for it to be? It can't be. There's the core that's been there all along, right?
That's the argument, isn't it? For that one, is like you look at that team on Saturday and you go for the players who have been there through Ross, Maloney, and now Johnson, Porteous, Hanlon, Stevenson, Newell. In fact, do go back to Heckenbottom with those guys as well. All played under those managers. All started on Saturday, and are all players who. Well, no, they're not all. I was going to say are capable of games where they don't impact the game.
Yeah, but then they're also players that were there under Stubbs and Lennon, or certainly maybe no Newell, but Porteous, Stevenson, and Hanlon were there under Lennon, and two of them were under Stubbs as well. So they won stuff then, so their mentality and that was fine then.
Kim, but that was how many years ago with Stubbs? 6 years ago. I mean,
only 6. We've named more managers there than 6. That's more than one a year.
Mental. That's where your problem is, isn't it? I mean, we need a bit. You need a bit of stability. And this is where I think I get frustrated with everybody wanting to rip it up and start again. I totally get it. Like, see the now, it's hard to. Folk are tying. I go on like Hibs.net. I look at it, folk fucking tying themselves up in knots to find reasons why we're shite, to evidence how we're shite, to pick stats where they didn't include some games where we weren't shite in, so they can demonstrate how.
That's right. That's back to the big game argument. Aberdeen's a big game, but it's not because we won them. We beat them the last time. So it's not a big game.
So but it stops counting. You got all this like folk tying themselves up in knots and they're writing players off because they've made up their mind. Like, see, there's a group of fans, and I'm not saying they're wrong, or ultimately they won't be wrong, right? They've written off the recruitment because they didn't trust Ian Gordon, right? And I totally get why you wouldn't trust them. Totally get it, because who the fuck is he other than the owner's son? And you see, like, if any business was doing that and just shipping in somebody to say, by the way, the owner's son is now in charge, everybody working there would be going, oh, fuck's sake, right? Yeah. I totally get it. He's no experience in football. I get that. And there's this big rush to go and say, like, I mean, there's folks sneering at people suggesting McCurdy might make a difference to the team. McCurdy was like a mind the sign transfer deadline. Everybody was fucking buzzing about it because he wasn't brilliant in his first. I think how many appearances he's made? What, 5 or 6?
His first 45 minutes in total.
First 45 minutes in total. The folks sneering at the idea that he might be a good player for us. Like you say, folk saying sell Tavares, get rid of them all. Have Bojang.
FC, that's the one that's hanging over his head, isn't it?
Because we've been scouting Gamba. We didn't fucking scout Gamba. He was playing in Portugal. That's where they fucking saw him. That's where they got the tip off from. Mm-hmm. It's wee bits like that where I start to get frustrated, and you think, right, ultimately, the folk might end up being right, but you can't say it now. This far in the season, for folk where the club have made the mistake, go back to what I was saying about trusting how quickly the players would adapt to the league. We've maybe brought in too many people from outside of Scottish football and expect them to hit the ground running at once. But The flip side to that is if you've got McGuinness was expected back ages ago. Kenny's had relapse and then Ken misses the weekend because of a hamstring. When you put McGuinness into that side, you're not expecting McGeady to get injured in pre-season to the extent that he did. So you've got McGeady there. You know Nisbet's coming back. You've got Boyle in there. Actually, you've got a core of the team who are tried and tested at this level that you fucking know can go out on a Saturday afternoon and compete with any team really in the league. They'll be competitive with them. When you know that's the core of your team, you can bring in Tavares, you can bring in Bojan, you can bring in Yuan, because you're not relying on them to be the match winner every game. You let them. Can they get
I
a
hear what you're
graduate?
saying.
Aye.
I think you actually agree with Mikey Stewart as much as you're not going to like that, because what he said was there's a good team in there.
There is.
There's just too many of them and too many players that don't impact it. And that's effectively what you said.
Aye, so I don't even care if it's the too many part, Colin. That's the thing. I think it's the fact that the best players, the match winners that we've got there now, and the ones that we need on the pitch performing to let the other ones get up to speed. Because then you can give, you could give Tavares 45 minutes because you're not chasing the game. You're not relying on him come on and be the match winner for you. You can maybe say the weekend you're 1-0 up, 2-0 up at half time, you're comfortable in the game. You can take Boyle off and give him a rest, and you can put Tavares on or whatever that combination. You can play Kenner one week and take him out the next week, or you can leave him in knowing that it doesn't matter if he's a 6 out of 10 one week because actually the rest of the team are good enough to cover him. So you can let him get up to speed. Bojan can get more than 3 minutes at the back end of a game because your other strikers have contributed the goals. When you've got Yuan, Bojan and Tavares, if that's your front three, or Melkerson, Yuan and McCurdy, who are all trying to find their feet at this level, then you struggle, and you can see why folk then go, well, they're all shite, bin them.
Aye. But then also, that's a good point. Also, though, there's 3-4 strikers you've rattled off who are all trying to find their feet all at once, or who are getting written off by different people or the same people. Is there maybe too many of them? Like, so they're not going to get you because you're going, right, we'll play McCurdy this week. Right, he's not scored. We'll try Yuan again next week.
Aye, but maybe
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Melkerson started this week. He might be back out next week, but we'll start Bojan. No, Bojan probably not got a start. But you know what I mean? He'll be on the bench, and it's like they're chopping and changing them because there's too many things to.
Yeah.
You can't even give one of them a run now when we are struggling a bit to say positions yours. Fucking, if you're shite, you're shite. You're not getting dropped next week. You're playing. Can to give them that sort of, like
the freedom to make the mistakes.
They know that they've got a game next week. They're no desperate. They're no snatching at stuff because they know they've got to get a run. Because we're thinking, fuck it, right, we'll try another one of them because we've got a fucking list of them here sitting.
Aye, maybe there's something in that. Maybe that's where he's 5 or. But I mean, I suppose that's the other thing is I think Johnson's on record as saying that I think he expected better players to leave in the summer, and we kind of brought players in on the basis that folk would be going out. And then who did we move on? Deutsch. Who else? The goalkeeper, Macy. Who else left? Apart from the loans, you know, you've got what's his face, Jasper.
Jasper and that went away, and Harry Clark, but again loans.
Aye.
So permanent wise, it was just the two, unless we're missing anybody obvious. But
okay, Deutsch went out on loan. So I think Hibs do need to get rid of a few players. I think there are too many there. On reflection.
Yeah.
And he needs to decide what system he's want to play. I think that's the thing. Can settle on a system and then let it bed in.
Which we thought it had, with the 4-3-2-1 or whatever it was. You know, the 4-3-3, 4-5-1, whatever the fuck it was.
That's it. That's where the frustration comes from me, I think. The fact that we were there and we could all see the progress, and that one free hit in inverted commas against Celtic has totally and utterly derailed the season.
Aye, didn't get me on the free hit thing again because I remember going around the circles that night in Spaces. It was out of the dug. It was the Saturday night, and I'm going try to explain it, and I just couldn't get it out right. But,
well, now you've got a point of reference. Next time it comes up, you can say the free hit because if you get scudded, look what it does to your season.
That's right. It drains the enthusiasm out of folk as much as it is the players doubting stuff and him doubting stuff and second guessing because it's not just a free hit for like, oh, we're playing Celtic away, it's a free, or Rangers away, it's a free hit. No, Rangers away then it would be classed as a big game probably, but you know what I mean. It's he started doubting his system. The players will start doubting him and his system, and years like that, fuck me, we're shite again.
Aye,
So
rip it up.
it's like it's not just one way, you know what I mean? There's so many different ways it comes at you to, and then even that it'll be like, oh, we're the worst. I've not seen this, but because I've not read an awful lot. We'll let more goals in than anybody outside the top three or something. You know, it'll be in it, or bottom three. You know, it would be the thing, and it's like because it's 6 in against Celtic as well. That'll totally fuck the stats
Aye.
up. You know, it fucks loads of stuff up, and
Yeah.
then used as evidence, like some of the evidence you're saying. And then that's when you start getting folks saying, but if you take the 6-1 defeat away to Celtic out of things, and you go,
Aye.
so we're just using some stats.
Just
You know what I mean? And
we'll
that's
just be
just
selective with it now. Aye. I think there was one post that I'd seen that was like, if it was like, if you include all these ones, it puts us in 8th place, which is a fair reflection of our season. The actual league table
Aye.
had us 7th.
Honestly.
Do you know how, like,
Aye.
why tie yourselves up in knots to get something that was reflective of our season when you can just go, fucking league tables there? That tells you.
I used to laugh at Hearts fans. There was a boy I worked with years ago who would disregard like defeats against Hibs for some reason. You know, it would be like whatever reason they could think at the time. You haven't beat us for like 8 times in a row. Like, beat you last fucking season in the cup. Aye, that was in the cup. Oh,
Aye.
right, so we're just on league games, and so it's only games you win that we're counting.
Aye.
Games you didn't get. I mean, it's fucking. It's like it's that kind of argument. It's like what can I use here? Disregard the losses. We didn't lose any games if we disregard the losses. It's that kind of argument. It's like it's fucking mad. Although one thing we didn't do is just fucking draw a game. Sometimes it would have been nice just to say, you know what, fucking batten down the hatches. We'll take the 0-0. Get out of here.
But that's why he tried to do it. That's my view. I think that and that's why I think it was so pissed off. But
Has he never seen him before? We didn't go away games and just no concede a goal.
Can't do it 0-0. That'll be something fucking bonkers will happen. Do you want to get a couple of talking points in before we wrap up? Because we're going to do extra time. Extra time, we're going to talk about the need for a director of football. Because that came up in Spaces at the weekend, and it's actually kind of a few folk have made quite a good point about it on the forums as well. So I think we were going to just talk through about what the benefit of a director of football would be to the club.
All right. Charlie Mulgrew thinks you've made that up. We need more aggression in the team. As a starter for 10, we could replace the playful goal gifs, blowing bubbles, playing air guitar, etc., with gifs of pretending to burn ants with a magnifying glass or pushing in front of old ladies in the queue. Any other ideas?
Aye.
That's one talking point.
Kittens in a bag into the river. You could do that. Wrestling a crocodile.
Nick Ross, calm down. It's Hibs. What were we all expecting? 3rd place with a laughing smile. We're bang average to shite for about 3 or 4 seasons now. Why was today or this season going to be any better?
Do you know, see with that one, right? Do you not think the frustration comes because we're spending more? Like, it's awesome. Everything's there. It's like, it feels like it's within touching distance of being fucking brilliant. And you almost get to, like, you have 4 wins in a row and you can just about touch it going, this is going to be great. We're going to have a laugh this season. And then it gets fucking weeked away for you. And we go back to the worst fucking performances that we saw under Jack Ross and Maloney and now Johnson. And you think, fuck it. It feels like a big punch in the puss bit.
Yeah, no, it does. It's just, I mean, I predicted 3rd place because look at the last, what was that, 6 or 7 we've lost, right? Fair enough. Take the Celtic one, it's a free hit. But take the other ones out of it. I was expecting to win most of them. We would be looking about 12, 15 points clear in 3rd place.
Aye.
Which sounds ridiculous now, right? But add the games in. So we've lost to Kilmarnock, we've lost to Dundee United, we've lost to
St Mirren, Kilmarnock.
And that 6 games though.
In the 6 games, so we had Ross County, Kilmarnock, we beat St Mirren, St Johnstone. So those 3 games, I think, were the ones that we really expected to. Yeah. So there's 9 points would have us comfortable in 3rd.
I know, and then because that's what Hearts keeps saying. It Mikey Stewart keeps repeating it. I kind of said his name a few times now, but Hearts just need to be in touch after European, because I was thinking they're in Europe, they're going to be over the fucking shop, they're going to get injury suspensions, they're going to be knackered. We need to put a gap between ourselves, and then if they want to try and just chase it down for the rest of the season, we can just keep putting the pressure on. We're below them.
Behind them,
If no, aye. You know,
I think
and
anyway.
we've chucked about 12 points down the drain. No, at least out of that. Anyway, Lee thinks that Lee Johnson, this is not Lee Johnson, but Lee Johnson has obviously had a say in the majority of the signings made in the summer. Recruitment needs to be looked at 100%, but he's even said himself he gets the final say. You need to work with what you have and make them better. So far, it's obvious he can't do that.
On this point, right, Lee Johnson has himself come out and said this, right, and this is one of the things I find baffling with Hibs fans. It goes back to what we're saying about folk making up their mind about Ian Gordon. Folk have got either in their head now that the manager just gets told you're getting this player. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter whether it was Maloney that said it, whether it was Jack Ross that said it, or whether it's fucking Lee Johnson that said it. Lee Johnson talks about Tavares. Like, he was tracking him for years. He tried to sign him before, and he knew all about him.
Yep.
Kenny knew about. McCurdy, I think, was one that Johnson was hoping to get done. James Scott was Jack Ross. Like, he wanted Jack Ross specifically wanted James Scott in, and James Scott ended up obviously being shite at Hibs. But it was the recruitment team that got the blame for him, kind of like a cheap option or whatever. And what I would say, this is my view on it, like, even if the situation was Lee Johnson got no say in it, right, and or he was only saying, I'll take that 1 out of 3, right? Mm. And that's just, he's getting the final say on it. If none of those 3 players that are put forward to him are good enough, he needs to be big enough to say, go get us another 3, and I'll pick for them. Because here's the reasons why, with like a proper rational explanation to say, I've looked at this boy as well, and actually you've highlighted X, Y, and Z as strengths, but look at these bits. Actually, the stats are telling us this. When you look at it, that's not going to fit for this reason for how I want to play. Can you give me another 3? I think they're at this level. That's what the manager should be doing. And if he's not doing that, he's fucking negligent. And he's as responsible as everybody else for it. If he's saying he's got the final say, I think him, my folk, did he just take that at his word and go, right, that's fine. He's ultimately the one that lives or dies by the recruitment. Why on earth would he accept any old shite coming into the team? Would you do it? Like, your job, if you come in and say, Colin, this is your team here, you get to pick who's coming into your team, you can be involved in the recruitment, you can do the interviews and that. And you go, right, that's fine. And then you're part way through doing it and they say, we were only fucking kidding on. You're not getting to interview them. Here's your team. Right? They're all idiots. Are you going to go and say, that's fine, just give me the idiots, I'll work with them? You'd be like, that's not what you told me. That's not the job I want for. I can't perform in those conditions. So
I know, it's just, I don't know how you, I know, you wouldn't put up with it. You just wouldn't.
Anyway.
But, these folk, I don't know.
Director of football, we'll talk about that.
It can't be that. It can't, Anyway, right, Whiskey Craig, I cannot believe how bad we are in the final third, or were in the final third. Michael, we had all the better chances. Their penalty comes from a position they're never scoring from. Ref was a joke for and against. Davy G, very poor showing again. I think it might be time for Eddie May to be given a chance to pick the team again. And Mike Murphy, the 3 or 5 at the back has not worked once. Dire officiating yet again. We've been so poor against really low quality teams. I'd be happy never to see Henderson and Hibs again. Was he playing on Saturday?
He did, yeah. He had a terrible game. Did he come on? Yeah, he came off the bench. He had a cracking chance second half, and it's just when he's a player that's no high in confidence, he's fucking lashed it into the stand, and you're like, for fuck's sake. Like, genuinely, you're looking at players and just going, I don't often just shout fuck off at the telly, but there was at least 5 times.
It takes me a while. I ended up doing it last season with Jamie Murphy in the cup final, this time, December time. But I'd give him like all the chances. I kind of folk were hammering him all the time, and always trying. be supportive rather than just hammer boys. But you do get to a stage where you just end up going, oh, for fuck's sake,
Aye.
everything was right in Aberdeen. I've not got many more. Well, there is more, but I'll do this one. Steve Brown. I hate to be knee-jerk, but Lee Johnson doesn't look like he knows how to turn games around, let alone our season.
But I think the evidence is starting to stack up that way, and that's my worry about Colin. I do think, right, so Lee Johnson has got the reputation, we spoke about it before, he's been streaky. Streaky Johnson is what they called him, because he would go on winning runs and then big losing runs, and that's what we're seeing here, bigger losing run than a winning run. And I wonder if those losing runs happen because he goes, need to change it, need to try and find something else to work. And he fucks about and gets just like enough attempts that then suddenly lands on one that works, and then that sees him right for a wee while until his next defeat, and then he goes, I better change it. Even though it's been working for all these games, maybe has one bad performance and then just rips it up and starts again. That would make sense, and I hope that's not what it is, because I think as a manager and a leader, you need to be more coherent with your strategy. You have to have more faith in what you do.
It's consistent messaging, isn't it? And that's that's not just a football thing. That's just you need to show you believe in something, and you believe it, and you're consistent in what you say and your belief.
Aye, that's exactly it. Otherwise, nobody believes you. You can say anything, and if we just go, it'll be different next week.
He doesn't even believe it. Exactly. It changes his mind.
Aye, and you can never be successful like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
Anyway, the good news is half-season tickets go on sale soon, don't they?
Aye, I think the club are doing an interest-free.
I think we've done a good sales push tonight, have we not? It's like, get your arses down and buy your
that rubber, they're actually letting me get back into East the Road.
Let me frame it positively. If you want a mass clear out, we need fucking money.
Go and buy a season ticket, but fill the ground. I tell you, it is funny, because, I mean, obviously, there's a time in the year where Hibs have to push it. I bet they're fucking cursing it. They're now there, but I think I wish.
Well, especially with the break, they've not even got time to turn it around. That's a point, though. I mean, what, like, how does the break impact it? Like, it could be a good thing. Like last year, well, not like last year, but last year we spoke. Maloney came in, had the 2 games before Christmas, Aberdeen and Dundee United, wasn't it? And everybody was talking, oh, you can see the difference right away and all that. And I'm sitting going, can you? It was so shite. And then the Dundee United game was all right, actually, on Boxing Day. And then we had the break, and you're like, oh, we're just going to get like 3 weeks with them now. And the derby's been called off, so we're not even going into that. We'll get them in February when we're good. And it just got worse. So who's to say the break is the break a help or a hindrance? It's a hindrance to us trying to get fucking episodes out, although we do have folk coming to help us.
We'll have good content out over the break.
We'll have content. Aye.
Good content, Colin.
Especially
if you're a subscriber, we'll say all the best stuff will be out for subscribers first.
Right.
Aye. Half season. It's funny. Folk will be looking at half-season tickets, and I'm looking at a football banning order. It's like, fuck, run on the pitch and fucking punch a referee and take the 10 years.
The thing is, though, like I've mentioned it before, that like my wife didn't renew this year, various reasons. Like, but one, it was that shite last year, and she's somebody that before I met her, she had even put that money in the 500 club and all that. You know, it's her name's on the wall, or was on the wall in the famous 5. I don't know if they've ever relocated it or not. Done all the daft things when she had extra cash and didn't renew, and could have been possibly persuaded because she's been to a couple of games where her brother-in-law couldn't make it, or she's just bought a ticket for the St Johnstone game and that. And it was better, Motherwell games and all that we've mentioned, that were perking her interest up about maybe getting a half-season ticket. Because I think at one point she went, well, they half-season tickets, when will they go on sale? But the last few weeks, fuck that. Like, she'll go, nah, no got 200 quid for that. That's because her mind always goes, is this a luxury?
Yeah.
Whereas I know a lot of folk, it's even to myself, like, now it's like a necessity almost. It's like, well, I'm buying that. What else what do I not buy?
Aye.
Whereas hers is always like, is that a luxury or not? Like Sky TV, all the different, they're all luxuries. And the football to her is a luxury. So they've fucking probably blown it in the last few weeks. she was definitely on the cusp of signing back up. But hopefully there's others out there that are willing to. Maybe folk will not get a choice. They'll just get it as a Christmas present, and they'll go, oh, for fuck's sake, what you giving that for?
It was, I can't remember who it was, tweeted it, it's like Hibs fans beware of the scam email. Then open it, it says you're gonna, there's 2 Hibs season tickets inside. If you open it, there are 2 season tickets inside. One of those ones, you got to laugh.
Because I think there's like, is it no? Because we play Celtic at Christmas, don't we?
Aye. I think they said that it was like Celtic, Hearts and Rangers. I think were kind of category A games that are going to be included in it. So.
But you would get your season ticket. I don't know when it would start actually. Probably Christmas Eve game, eh?
Don't know.
I don't know. Well, that's the first home game back. That's what I'm thinking. But they've got Celtic in between Christmas and New Year, so it's quite a good sort of start to it, eh? Celtic on Tuesday night or whatever it is, under the lights and all that shit.
Can watch us against the team that put 6 past us last time we played them.
Revenge. Free hit for Celtic.
Aye, that's it. Fucking hell. Right, thanks very much for... Colin, you more or less hosted tonight. I feel like I did a lot of talking. Sorry for that.
No, you had to, because I never seen any of the fucking match.
Aye. Subscribers will get extra time. Like I say, we're going to go and talk about the director of football situation at Hibs, and that'll probably tie into some of the recruitment and the on-field strategy of what's happening at Hibs. So stay tuned for that if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, go to Twitter, find our bio, and click on the link, and there you can subscribe. It takes a wee minute to set up. It's well worth it. If you're not a subscriber, don't worry. You just have to listen to adverts. Sorry about that. Right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.